everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 11:04 a.m. And the date is May 22nd, 2023. And I will go ahead and turn the time over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Call and members of the board. We're here this afternoon to hear from our students who are part of our Super SAC, a group of students that represent each one of our high schools and specialty schools that are part of meeting monthly to share feedback on ways that we can continue to improve their experience as students, throughout the school district. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Bass, our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary, and Mr. Monago, our Secondary Executive Principal, to kind of share what the students will be presenting to us this morning.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, trustees, Ms. Saavedra, cabinet members for joining us today. We're really excited to be able to provide this opportunity for our Super SAC students to showcase four main topics. Early on in the year when we met with them, we said, please share with us some pressing issues that you're seeing at the campus that affect you or your siblings at the lower grade levels. And throughout that early planning session, we really focused on four main categories. Those categories that they felt were the most pressing will be what they showcased for you today. In those categories, we looked at security and safety. We looked at wraparound services for the whole child. We discussed drug awareness and safety measures, and finally, more and increasing student engagement at all campuses as being the four areas where they felt needed the most attention because it's something that impacts them on a daily basis. So those are the presentations that you'll be hearing today with some solutions that they're going to bring to you and methods to discuss ways that we can improve that as a district. If you kind of look at our levers, they really do attach to all of our levers moving forward. So we're excited how easily it folds into what we wanted to do with our strategic plan and strategic blueprint. We are excited today not only to have our students joining us, but also our principals from most of our high schools did join us. So principals, please stand up so we can thank you for joining us to watch the presentations by your students. So thank you. We have to give recognition to the ladies and men that help get these students to us and help us organize our different events and planning sessions at all of our campuses. But our student activities managers that are the ones who get it done. So ladies and our gentlemen. They really are the ones that provide the backbone to what we're trying to accomplish. They provide us every meeting. We had a meeting location designated for really good discussions and always a good meal that kind of attached to it. So it was nice that they fed all of these students. So we really appreciate your efforts to all of our SAMs. Mr. Monago is really pivotal in really helping us organize the meetings you're going to see today. Not only did we provide the structures and the guidelines of what we're going to showcase, but really making sure the students are well prepared, that they have very little anxiety today that they're presenting to you, and really that we've practiced and rehearsed a lot of the things today. So I want to thank Mr. Monago for really being the foundation of these presentations that you're going to see today. So thank you. We do want to remind you that these are 10-minute presentations. That's about 4 to 5 minutes for the presentation itself, with 4 to 5 minutes for the question and answer portion. Only because we do know you have a special meeting at 12 o'clock, so we want to honor that time. The students have rehearsed with that amount of time in mind, and if you have any further questions, we can always adjust. We have a little bit of room in between, but if you kind of think of a measure of time, it's about a 10-minute for each of the four groups to present. Okay, first we'd like to bring up our safety and security team. That is made up of Hannah Connor, Natalie Dominguez, Angelica Gonzalez, Elias Mata, Adam Harmit, and Nicholas Lujan. Come on up.
Good morning, Mr. President, Velarde, board members, and Ms. Ayala. My name is Natalie Dominguez, and I'm from Austin High School.
Hello, good morning. I'm Hannah Connor from Young Women's STEAM Research and Preparatory Academy.
Hi, I'm Angelica Gonzalez from Jefferson Silva High School.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Lujan from Irvin High School.
Hi, I'm Elias Mata from Burgess Early College High School.
Hi, I'm Adam Arant from Burgess Early College High School.
Today we will be presenting Safety and Security, our plan of improvement. Today we're really going to be starting with our statistics. As you can see, this year of 2023, the school shootings of the U.S. have been 2,291, and in Texas have been 192. The threats have been more than 100,000, and in the United States and in Texas has been 67. In the next slide, you can see that gang-related, unknown reasons, and all of that has been cause of the school shooting.
Statistics part 2, the school districts and security guards police. So there's a House Bill 3 that is passed on that each school is required to have at least one police officer. And in that case, we do not have each school. For example, I'm going to give you the Burgess and Bowie. They both have one police officer. So the police officer has to be going back and forth between schools in case of an emergency, and we feel that that's not safe enough for the students. Security guards and police officers and how they benefit our school. Obviously, the police officers bring so much security to our school.
She just went to go get some water.
More that can secure us, the students, the teachers, the staff, and everyone in the community.
Yes, so our mission is to provide protection and safety to our students and faculty. And this will be done by adding 2 security guards and/or establishing a designated police officer to each campus. And this can help support a safe school culture across the district and that they have the necessary equipment to do so. As a result, those in EPISD feel safe within their school and work environment, and this will be seen through discussion of behavior by those included in EPISD. By targeting our areas of need, we're going to need, of course, money. And this can be done by grants such as the TEA School Safety and Security Grant. Community outreach, and this could be done having a networking and fundraising event throughout the community to help provide materials and equipment for the guards and officers, and this could help us out as well. And also having teacher involvement. Maybe we can have our guards and officers teach our teachers how self-defense in a classroom. And here's an example of the TEA School Safety and Security Grant. We don't know the logistics too much about it, as there is a deadline of June 15th, 2023, and we're not too sure if this is for past grant recipients or for those who want to apply for the grant. But the criteria would be having Texas public school, as EPIC has a bunch of those, and it entails $100 million distributed amongst the grant recipients, and safety features would include vehicle barriers, metal detectors at school entrances, exterior doors with push bars, 2-way radio systems, security fencing, door locking systems, systems that monitor and record exits, entrances, and hallways, a school-wide active shooter alarm system, and bullet-resistant glass/film for exits and entrances. And the link provided is a link to the TA grant website. And in the bigger picture, it shows a few examples of grants that go with any sort of thing school-related. And in the smaller picture, it shows all the grants related to school safety.
Overall, we just ask if you board members can help us get police officers for every single one of those schools. We would all feel more safe if at least one police officer will be there, and if we had more security. That would conclude our presentation. Yeah.
Any questions from the board?
Right now, do you have a security officer at each one of your schools right now? Just one? At least one?
Currently, not that we're aware of, because I know that there are some schools that don't have one. Like, if I'm correct, it was Austin, right? They only had security guards. There was no police officer. And for my school, Burgess, along with Bowie, if our officer is at our school, then Bowie is left with no officer at all. So if a situation were to happen, there's nowhere to help Bowie and stay at Burgess at the same time.
So that officer, is he inside or outside on the perimeter doing traffic?
He's inside. He patrols the campus to make sure there's nothing going on.
So is he considered an SRO, a school resource officer?
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things that I would share with you all is that right now, we, our in-house police department, our El Paso ISD Police Department, and Chief Chavita's not here, he's at training this morning. But we have 44 total officers that are part of the police force, and they are assigned in a number of different ways. I know over the past year and a half, since I've been the superintendent, a challenge that our school district has, just as many other school districts in the state, are there's a shortage of police officers, I would say nationwide, but specifically SROs for school systems. And so, although we have a police force of 44 officers, I know that the chief has been challenged with filling all of the vacancies. I know that he's been successful in filling most, but not all of the vacancies. And one of the challenges as well is that in other school districts, even as they're providing incentives for, let's just say, one of the things that you all proposed, security guards, and being willing to fund security guards going to the police academy, getting trained to become a police officer, and then coming back and being able to automatically be hired with the school district. School districts, even with those incentives, are having difficulty attracting candidates to fill all of these positions. So you all bring up a great point in terms of wanting, assignment of each, and we absolutely, kind of align with your thinking. I think that the greatest challenge is finding the people, for the jobs and keeping up with the demand, which is something, it's a challenge for school districts across the state. But I want to give the opportunity for other board members to ask questions if they have any.
We can go. First of all, thank you for being here. So I had to step out for a quick moment. I went to go grab some water. So you may have actually answered any of these questions that I'm asking. But my first question is whether you all have seen or talked with your administration about your school's safety and security plan. Have you all, is that something maybe you've discussed with some of your administrators as you were talking about this stuff?
Yes. So
Yes.
I know that across the schools, there have been some conversations with the administration about it, and they seem to be on board with it.
So the reason that I ask, because I think that you all are kind of a really important piece, being in student council, of getting information to the rest of the student body. So even just being aware of your school safety and security plans may give you a platform to disseminate information to other people in a larger setting or to more of your student body. The other thing that I thought about also was the anonymous reporting system. Are you all fully aware of how that works, and maybe could that be something that you disseminate to your student body as well, because that helps us sometimes get information ahead of time so that we can kind of get to things before it escalates.
The see something, say something is what she's referring to.
So that is an anonymous reporting system that we have in the district. And again, I just see you all as ambassadors for your schools and helping to get information. And so I thank you for being those people. And those are maybe a couple of great things that you can disseminate as one, always making sure that your student body is aware of what your safety plans are. And two, also how to report information that could be suspicious or help the district to do its job in a timely manner. But this is absolutely one of my favorite days because I love getting feedback and hearing directly from you all what your experiences are in your school. So I thank you for sharing that information. And, kind of what we do as a board is we get information from community members, and you are our community members, and we take that and we discuss it with the superintendent. So I personally can assure you that I will follow up with your concerns in a conversation with the superintendent later.
I don't know if you had something to say to what you just said, like any other comments from the students.
Did y'all have any responses to a couple of her questions in terms of the say something, and I think that was the question.
The other one was the security plan, safety and security plan.
Security plan.
So we can bring it up, or do you want to go? Sure.
So me personally, I did not know about the anonymous reporting system, which does give me an idea if there's a way that we can open that up to our campuses, maybe by speaking with our principals or administration when it comes to this say something, see something. Because like I said, I didn't know about that, so it does make me wonder how many other students don't know about that, and if there's a way we can open that up to our campuses.
Great, yeah, awesome.
Regarding the See Something, Say Something program, if we were, 'cause I'm sure there are some students that aren't aware of it, if we were to spread it out, there still becomes an issue of that some students may be too scared to reach out and say and like report these things. Because what if they feel then all of a sudden they'll be involved and then they'll be thrown into a whole game of chaos they don't want to go into.
So the thing about the See Something, Say Something is it is anonymous. So that is one of the really important criteria that you can communicate to student body members is it's completely anonymous. That kind of takes away that element of fear, like they've just gotten involved now. And it doesn't have to be safety related. It could be a serious concern that a student has about another student or a staff member or anybody, right? I mean, this really important avenue for you to be able to safely, it's really a safe space for you to communicate your concerns, especially when there's something very serious happening and you're not really sure who to turn to. I know I was a teacher in high school for a really long time, and a lot of times students would turn to me because they didn't know where else to go. Sometimes students turn to their teachers before they turn to their parents, but that's not always the case. So if there's something that's important and you all need an avenue to report it, that exists for you all, and it's a very safe way, and it's completely anonymous.
Right, question?
So this is also one of my favorite days, so you took my line. I guess with a lot of the stuff that we're seeing with lockdowns, and I mean, you've probably had one at your school at least in the past few weeks, and I just wonder about how that is impacting you, your mental health, and also thinking about what's being posted on social media. I feel that maybe some of you are seeing some of this, your peers are posting social media threats. A lot of the times they're not real, right? But they're still really scary, and they shake you up on going to school. It's like they said this was gonna happen at this hour, and we obviously got on it as a district, but I'm just curious to know what kind of resources can we provide as a school district to help you with that? Because I mean, even if the threat is not real at the end, which is great, it probably still shakes you up, so I just wanted to get some thoughts on that.
So I feel like at this point, with all the the school shooter threats, it is getting to a point where it's starting to become the norm, which is not very good, because if a shooter were to happen, it can pop out of nowhere, or it can be seen as just another false threat. So unfortunately, that is what is happening at this point with all these false threats we are getting. So to answer your question, I don't know about resources, but I feel like that we can come up with some further as we go on into the future before an unfortunate event does happen, and it's no longer just social media post or somebody that someone said. So I feel like we can make an act that will have a safer setting.
If I may add, as leaders, as you all are leaders for the student council, the reason why Miss Annie and Josh are bringing all this up is because we're tasked with having to make sure we have enough officers to help you in your school, but our budget is gonna be constrained, putting an officer at each school, so you all have to organize among yourselves to share this information to help
I don't think
others.
that's what I was trying to say, though. I'm more concerned about the aftermath and the mental health support that you're having, your counselors. If you're able to go talk to somebody about, hey, I'm very scared to be at school today because we got this threat, and talking it out with somebody with professional care, that's more of my aspect of asking this question, and I think you wanted to say something.
Going along with that, we push this out a lot at our school, and it's definitely social emotional learning where we're able to share everything with our fellow peers and our teachers, and we feel like it's a safe environment. So especially with this aftermath and what Nick was saying, that students have become feeling numb to all these threats and what is happening, or they're just like, oh, it's something that's happening now. Okay, well, we just have to get over it, right? For those that don't feel numb and they do need to get something out, they do want to say something, it is important that us as students, teachers and administrators, that we also provide that safe environment in our school, and that we can help our students feel like they can talk up about something. At our school, we have family circles, and that's where we get together and we talk to each other about these things and about what we're nervous about, what we don't feel good about. If we think that something should change among our campus or within our district or within just our classroom in general. And that's super important, and I know that whenever we talk things out, we find more like camaraderie within each other, and that we start seeing this stuff isn't cool. And when people put it out, they might think that they're cool, putting out school threats, but in reality, it's not. And you start seeing that when other people start to speak up about it in family circles, and then you see those family circles starting to speak about it to the campus in general, and everybody else is like, this is not funny. And I think having that social emotional learning and having that support would be the next step in making sure that our students feel safe at our school as well, including the security guards and such.
And I had the great pleasure to be invited to the Young Women's Academy and take part in a family circle with several of the young ladies, and it was a very powerful experience. You could tell that it's a very meaningful, safe time of the day for the students, and they take it seriously. And I know that that didn't happen overnight, but it was something that they were committed to, and so I think it's proven to be, cascading through a lot of these issues, not necessarily just safety and security, because there is a safe space for students to share, what they're thinking about, what they're feeling, and, just suggestions about improving their learning experiences. So thank you for that experience, but also thank you for that suggestion. Mr. Call, did you have any questions?
For all you guys do. I know we're out of time, otherwise I do have a question, but.
Thank you very much to Safety and Security. Great job, guys. Next, we'll have our group on increased student involvement. Come on up.
Sorry. Good morning, Board President Veladre, board members, and Ms. Verde. Our presentation is about increasing student involvement. My name is David Hinojos. I attend Urban High School, and these are my peers.
Good morning, my name is Leslie Torres, and I go to Bowie High School.
Good morning, I'm Adriana Chahena Vicarro, and I am from Andrew High School.
Good morning, my name is Madison Balls, and I go to Jefferson Silva High School.
Good morning, my name is William Venstermacher, and I'm from Trans Mountain Early College High School.
Good morning, my name is Diana Martinez, and I'm from Paso High School.
Today, for our presentation, we will be focused on increasing student involvement with our three main points being need-based budgets, increasing campus culture and inclusivity, and teacher support.
You may be wondering as to why it's important that we increase student involvement. Student involvement is vital for student success not only outside of the classroom, but in it as well. It'll help us grow as a campus, grow students' opportunities, and create a welcoming environment not only for students, but staff and administration as well.
With funding, we did have issues trying to come up with an exact number due to the different organizations, but we do have three main points, which is experience, equality, and our districts. When it comes to experience, we want the same opportunity for not only academic, but athletics. If it comes to swim meets, going to state or academic, trying to go to regionals, we want the same budget for every group so that they have the same opportunity to go to all events that they need to, or that they qualify for. For equality, like I said, the equality between organizations and clubs, and it also comes to do with the districts. For example, Socorro and Isera may have more budgets for their student council, but here in EPISD, we don't have the same amount of budget, and it ruins our opportunities and experience.
So just as AJ said, we believe it's very important to create a positive campus culture and environment. And one way we would encourage doing this is to create a social media recognition platform, which we already have in place as EPISD goes, but it can be difficult to cover all of the high schools, all of the middle schools, even elementary events by just one team of photographers. So we thought it would be fun to have student photographers from their campuses be able to send in photos from various events, academic, scholastic, athletic, etc., just so that there's all sorts of events in our feed from all grade levels as well, and we would represent all of those students, just because some students have voiced that they don't feel that they're getting recognized for the work that they're doing. And we feel that whether you're in golf, computer science, or in student council, you deserve the same recognition as basketball, soccer, and football.
So to add on, teacher support is also a benefit to students. If they see a teacher at an event, they feel encouraged to go, they feel supported, they feel that they are welcomed and they have that support from the teacher. Teachers make it unfair sometimes to students, making it seem like choose academics or athletics, and you can't have both. So having that support from the teacher, telling them that they can do both, that even teachers are there involved, seeing the teacher in the stands, cheering you on, gives so much support to individuals as athletes, watch the teachers cheering them on. We want to increase the teachers' engagement. A lot of teachers, we had a survey that we asked teachers if they had been involved in campus events, and a lot of them said no because of that's add-on time that they don't have time for. And they said that they would like to go if there's incentives, such as school merch, which we can provide from community events, like we can ask local communities if they can sponsor and get merchandise that we can give to teachers. A lot of teachers say they had to pay for school events, which they don't believe is fair. So I say EPSD provides that benefit where teachers can have that entrance pass where they don't have to pay since they have their time there at school. And increasing the teacher involvement, a lot of teachers don't spend time on spirit weeks, don't dress up. So when students see their teachers not dressed up, they don't want to be involved, they don't want to participate in those events. So encouraging teachers to dress up, to attend these events, makes students want to be more involved.
This concludes our presentation, and hopefully we can have your support to get incentives and get more opportunities for our community and our school.
So I have to step away for another meeting in just a bit, so I just wanted to get my question out. That was a really good presentation, really like student council a lot, just because I did student council for 4 years in NHS and did all that great stuff. And I guess I'm just wondering, I remember last year there was an issue that the last Super SAC brought up about not having enough money to go to your state convening for student council, and I think there was just different things that some schools would go on buses, others would go on planes, and I'm just wondering how that experience has kind of transformed since the last time we talked about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of been very similar. That's exactly why we have brought this problem up again, just because we work as councils very hard to create the opportunities for students to engage, and we need more leadership opportunities as the leaders on our campus, which we are provided through state conferences, just like you said, and other opportunities like that. However, like we mentioned in our presentation, we're the only of the big 3 districts that don't have a district-supported student council fund, which is separate from athletic and UIL travel funds, and that's allocated specifically for the state travel and stuff like that. We reached out to members from both districts. I got response from one, but they did not follow through sending in that budget information, which is why we lacked that information in the presentation. But we do feel like having that support from the district would definitely benefit us, because we as leaders can take that next step for our campus to improve the campus culture as well.
Like, as far as the experience goes itself, I think it's vital that we get those experiences. So for instance, for Jefferson, we had to pay for some of our state, and that neglected some of our officers from being able to go. And yes, it's a fun trip for the council, but we also take back a lot of things that we implement within our high school. So I think it'd be very useful to have that budget for our students to be able to go.
One of the things that I did want to mention is that So we've got work to do in that area, no doubt. I do know that there were a couple of representatives from your school activity managers, because I know that our school district is wanting to be I guess, the lead for the state conference going into.
We'll host the state conference.
Yeah, we'll host the state conference, and so I think that's a step in the right direction because we're willing to invest. They came with a proposal, what it would mean to host that, the cost, the type of student participation. We would really showcase our school district, and so that's a move in the right direction. It's still not all-encompassing in terms of the request, but we are making some strides in that area to make sure that our student experience is a quality experience, especially in those areas. You hear me say as a superintendent often that attendance is the #1 predictor of student success, but what you all talk about in terms of student involvement and connection is a big part of why kids come to school. And so the more we can expand those opportunities, the better off our attendance is going to be. So that's one piece of the whole, kind of attendance conversation. So thank you all for bringing that to the forefront.
So just a follow-up to what Dr. Acevedo asked for, could you provide us with maybe a board update of what the comparison is for the other districts? So that's information that we could certainly help you all assist with getting. Okay, I'll pass and I'll let Mr. Call go since he didn't go.
Hey, great job, guys. Really appreciate that. And everybody who hasn't presented yet, President Velarde's not here. I know that's the way you guys kind of prepared your remarks. So anyway, I'm Dan O'Call and I'm the vice president. But at any rate, when you guys do go to these state meetings, I'm curious about the differences that you guys feel between our school districts and other school districts that you come in contact with. I mean, I'd love to ask you directly what the difference is that you guys have noticed, but I'm guessing that you guys have probably only been in EPISD your whole academic career so far. So what are some things that stick out in your interactions with other districts?
So I was at Riverside High School, so I was in YISD for a while. So I saw YISD and how EPISD are very different, and their EPISD is definitely more inclusive, I will say, and has made students feel more involved from YISD. YISD is more focused on basically academics, while EPISD is focused on academics, athletics, making everyone feel so inclusive. So I say, EPISD has definitely benefited me more in that outlook, and just they're two completely different districts. They all work on the same way to benefit their students. However, EPISD has definitely pushed students more and made everyone feel more welcomed, I will say, in my experience.
Any thoughts?
One thing that I will, it's an opposite opinion of hers. I believe that when we do go to state and we see the other campuses, other districts, there is a difference between our spirit. For example, yes, they have enough spirit. They have empowered teams, and they always try to work with one another. And that's something also that we lack in. For example, our teams compete against each other in our own schools instead of trying to work together and push each other up.
But each one of your schools were able to go to the state convention though, right, or no?
No.
Not everybody, not every school.
No, at my school the budget's very small for student council already, just because I'm from Trans Mountain, so our campus is very small, and we work with a small budget after our main fundraisers from the year, just because the student body's small, ticket sales are small, and the revenue is small. So when you compare that to other high schools, obviously it's not fun to compare, but we were not able to send any representatives to the state conference just because when we have 2,000 available and it costs upwards of $300 to $600 to send one person, it's just not realistic when we have to also plan for the next coming year at the same time,
Don't deter that, don't let that deter you from your future events or your future activities. Organize among yourselves, and maybe, I know some of you, this is your last year, possibly, maybe not. But look forward to planning on something in your own local level. Just stay united and make sure that you get to continue voicing your opinions for the students that can't talk or speak up. You're their voice.
But please know that we're committed to reconciling that. As one of the board members requested, we'll get some comparison data from other school districts, and as we're formulating our budget, we will look at travel costs, especially, so that we can have good representation from each school at the state, convention, but also in just the day-to-day budget support, for student council in general. I also took note of your suggestions, and I know our communications officer is here, in terms of increasing our presence on social media and having specific systems in place for you all to be able to submit information that we can kind of put into the feed. So, thank you.
Really quickly, I know Mr. Monago is standing there, so I'll try and be brief. I do have a question. The information that we're requesting as a board, some of this information, can you all have can we get their contact information so that we make sure to share it with them as well? Okay, so I'll make sure that I get everybody that's here today contact information so that these specific requests that we're asking of the district, we can also communicate to you so that you kind of know what we're doing to work on some of these issues. Because it's great that you come, but it's always nice to know if there was a resolution. My questions also had more to do with your experience, and I know we'll try and keep it real brief. You talked really briefly about the differences between some sports and other sports. Can you kind of just clarify what you meant by that?
So as a student athlete, as I have gone to state. Last year, we went to state and we stayed at a motel, and it was a very bad experience. So this year, we contacted, my family contacted EPSD, all the other athletes contacted EPSD, mentioning how the budgets for swim was not as much as football gets high-end hotels, food and all that. So when we contacted them, they got us a good hotel. It was very high-end, and we were very surprised because we have never gotten that experience before. And I know tennis, golf, all those other sports that aren't really are underlooked, don't get that support like football does. And football is always going to be up there. But having that support with the support from everybody else makes the athlete more prideful.
So this is actually a conversation that Ms. Iver and I have had a couple of times regarding some other sports. So I'm going to ask for that same information just to kind of know so that we can learn how some of the other districts operate in terms of systems. It kind of feels like it's a systems issue and that it's a different thing for one sport versus the other. So I'd love to explore what it looks like as a system, and then of course we'll share that with you. But again, thank you all. This is really helpful. Great information. I promise that we'll follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Good job.
If I could just interrupt while the next group are coming, so we could introduce Trustee Garibaldi. There's 4 categories that we're going through. We just went through 2, safety and student engagement. So the next is going to fill us in.
Is wraparound services. Come on up here.
And the next one is drug awareness.
The nicer hotels now that
And the last one, Trustee Garibaldi.
Drug awareness?
Good morning, board members and Ms. Ayala. My name is Pilar Mier. I'm from Coronado High School.
My name is Kira Hayes. I'm from Trans Mountain Early College High School.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Garcia, and I'm from Manches High School.
Good morning. My name is Patricia Ruiz, and I'm from Paso High School. Good morning. My name is Vanessa Mora, and I'm from Chapin High School.
Good morning, my name is Andrea Lopez. I'm from Franklin High School.
Good morning. I'm Heidi Alvarez, and I'm from the Young Women's STEAM Academy.
Good morning. My name is Remy Urrutia, and I am from Bowie High School. and our presentation today focuses on wraparound services. I'll begin by explaining the direct definition of wraparound services, and it is the helping of students and staff with the offering of help through therapy and mental emotional health services. Our goal today is to raise awareness for lack of support from the administration and faculty, creating better work environments for students through mental health care initiatives, and bringing an overall sense of community and understanding at all campuses. We've come up with a simple flow chart to kind of emphasize on our goal, and we want to make sure that our students have somebody and somewhere to go to in any case scenario, anything that they might need at any time. The kind of trickling of it starts of the overassigning of work and the creation of stress for our students, but then also breaking the pattern and thinking of why SEL in high school when there can be other sources for students to go to. We sent out a survey to multiple of our high schools, including El Paso High, Coronado, YWA, TMEC, Bowie, multiple of the schools, and we asked 3 main questions. Do you struggle with mental health? Do you think your campus would benefit from having a therapist, and would you go to that therapist? So here on this first question is if the student struggles with mental health. As you can see, there is a majority in students that do struggle with mental health, which is somewhat of an issue when you analyze it, seeing that they may be stressed or maybe depressed, but there is a large number of issues that these students are struggling with. Next 2 questions were, do you think your campus would benefit from having a therapist, and would you go to the therapist? As you can see, there was an overall majority with the opinion of having a therapist on their campus. The majority of the students agreed that they would believe that their campus would benefit from having a therapist based on students' mental health and their mental health. And then there was a lower majority of if they would go to that therapist, but there was still an overall agreement with them attending that therapist and going to seek help and having a resource there for them.
These are our target areas, so what we were thinking is for the elementary and middle schools, use SEL so that they can better understand their feelings and better express them. While with high schoolers, understand that they don't have to keep everything to themselves, and they can share with other people and maybe find a connection.
For the elementary and middle school, there is an app that Junior League has created. I've contacted members from Junior League, and they created an app called My Feels. EPISD has somewhat already worked with this app, but it is an app that offers resources and outlet for students, and studies have been conducted showing that students usually get a phone around the 5th grade, so having SEL in an elementary school and teaching students that it's okay to start expressing themselves, and then them having the access to that app would then be more in middle school focus, so they can start better understanding how to express it and how to come out of their shell and learn how to speak with resources or therapists and stuff like that.
These are some fundings and grants that we have found that help with mental health. There, of course, is so many more, but these are just a couple that we researched on. This is how you would get the grant for one of the programs. This is the NEA, and it's just explaining the process of hopefully achieving that grant. Our outcome is solving this problem with other SuperSAC topics. We help build better teacher and student communications, which you have just heard about. We help with more student involvement because if students feel safer, they will be more invested in helping out with sports and going to different programs. This helps improve the students' grades because then they feel safer to go to school and they are more invested in their learning. This also helps the students feel safe, and it will hopefully spread throughout the rest of the school because once it starts with a smaller group, more will come along. This also helps increase school spirits because then the students will be more connected with each other and will be more willing to talk with each other. And this also helps a positive mindset sprout among the students. And again, it starts with a small group and it'll spread to everyone else. This is our overview. We hope to implement a psychological interns in high schools for students to talk or vent to, and implement SEL in elementary and middle schools to get students comfortable with sharing their feelings among each other.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and attention. We hope that you can use this information to help better the mental health in our district.
Thank you.
again, thank you all for being here. I will share that whole child mental health is something that the board and superintendent have been very, very committed to since Ms. Saavedra came on board. We continue to be committed to. We just recently started establishing a system called multi-tiered system of supports specifically for this type of, the things that you're talking about. And that's a work in progress. I have been asking for higher level psychologists, to be contracted by the district, and that's something that I'll continue to ask for. But I have one question. Because there's kind of a shortage of therapists, not just for you all. I mean, this is a mental health crisis that kind of is just across the country. I hear this the most from kids. What I hear from kids the most is we need help. We're not doing well. And so there is a shortage. And my question would be how amenable you all would be to having online support or support from an online therapist. Is that something that you all are familiar with, would consider? Or you feel like there needs to be face-to-face interaction? That's really the biggest question that I have right now.
So when COVID happened, I actually had an online therapist. And not having that face-to-face connection really kind of slowed the process down of getting my mental health back up. Because during that process, I wasn't heard right, and so they prescribed me on, I don't know how I'm still alive, but on 4 antidepressants. And basically, halfway through my betterment, I got dropped by the therapist and was never contacted again by the company that actually helped me get the therapist. So I think.
So you personally had a bad experience.
Yeah, I had a very bad experience.
Has anybody else had an experience?
I also had a online therapist. It was helpful for me because it meant I didn't have to go somewhere to talk to my therapist. I had it on my phone with me, and I'm a very busy person. But I also felt like I wasn't able to connect to them as well, and it was very easy to lose contact with them, like she said. It was they're on your phone, so if you just stop opening the app, then sometimes phones glitch, you don't get the messages and those kind of things. So with it being not face-to-face, it's much harder to keep in contact with them and that sort of thing as well.
Okay, those are really helpful things to know. The other one question that I had before I pass the mic was, how do you guys help each other cope in your social networks? Are you still meeting with each other face-to-face a lot? Are you finding that your personal connections happen a lot more online or on the phone as well? This is more out of curiosity.
So for me, I find that most of my personal connections take place online. But it is really nice when I get to connect with people in person and have that one-on-one time and talk to someone. And I think I'd prefer that in-person communication rather than being online.
Do you think that maybe could be something that we could help with, facilitating in-person connections, social events? I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here.
Definitely. I feel like that student engagement and community really helps, especially when after COVID, it's really separated us and isolated us individually. And I feel like we need that sense of community in us, so that way we can learn how to express ourselves more and maybe be closer to one another as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been extremely fortunate to be at a school that really just empowers that kind of community sense, tight-knit kind of community. And as Ms. Ayavera has mentioned before, we conducted a family circle with her. And I understand that our school is single-gendered, and our circumstances and situations have put us in a place that has allowed us to make that a little easier. And I could see why maybe doing this at a larger campus might be difficult, but I think I'm going to mention Dr. Antiveros back there for just really helping our students out in creating those family circles and creating those connections, and not only student connections, but also teacher and administrative kind of activities. And so I don't know if anybody would like to elaborate on, what your what kind of your experience with family circles and kind of community.
So at my school, what's happened is SEL, and I know that the Young Women's Academy is really big on family circles and doing like SEL, but at my school, I feel like it's kind of just simmered down, and we don't really do a lot of SEL at El Paso High. And I know that we have like advisory periods every Wednesday or certain Wednesdays, but we don't really do any mental health enrichment activity during that advisory period.
So you would like more opportunities for that to be embedded in the school day?
Yeah.
For connection?
Or not just that, it's just, I think that our counselors and administration really does try to like put out a lot of social emotional learning resources, but I think that many students don't take it as seriously as they should.
To add on to that, I think, so I've been doing SEL since 6th grade, and I've been doing it for a really long time, and I've really been able to kind of understand, what works and what doesn't work, and I kind of see it as like a monkey see, monkey do kind of situation, in which if I see the administrators and my teachers, really allowing themselves to be susceptible to these kind of activities, and engage and really participate, it kind of becomes it becomes infectious. Everybody else wants to do it because you see your teachers and your mentors and them doing it, right? And I see why it's difficult maybe at larger campuses, just because, I mean, if you threw me in a classroom with 20 students and been like, oh, facilitate a mental health activity, I really wouldn't know what to do, And so if we could start at a higher level with teachers or even principals, right, in order to it's like a workshop for them to understand that, hey, this is how we run SEL. And if you can really take this back to your campus and really kind of spread this kind of culture and set the foundation for your campuses, it would be really great, And I think that's where we see the problem, is that we expect teachers to know how to conduct these kind of activities, and even principals. And I'm pretty sure a lot of our administrative, people have, find that a struggle, in that they don't know how to do it, right? But like I said, our school has been extremely fortunate to have teachers well-trained and have it kind of embedded into the students as well.
Thank you, ladies. Unfortunately, we have a hard stop at noon, and we still have one more presentation to go, but thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Very good. Good job. And our final presentation today is on drug awareness. If that can come up, please.
Good morning, board members and Ms. Ayurveda. My name is Allison Gallmer, and I'm from Coronado High School.
My name is Marica Suerta, and I'm from Chapin High School.
My name is Michelle Jimenez, and I'm from Franklin High School.
My name is Ana Vera, I'm from Chapin High School.
My name is Jaylene Robles, and I'm from Austin High School.
And this is our presentation on drug awareness. So our statistics, we conducted a survey which had about 40 responses, and those were all throughout our high schools. And not many people answered it, but we were still able to get a kind of viewpoint on how other students have observed the uses of drugs. And we found that results of peers observing others using drugs on campus was over 70%. So if we were to have a survey that had more answers, that number might change a little bit, but that's still a pretty high number for only 40 results. So this survey also had a couple other questions, whether they themselves had used anything on campus, or frequently, not frequently, and from the results we found that the use of vapes and marijuana or THC have been pretty high for diagnosis.
And we also had some statistics to show that really the amount of students from ages 16 to 18 here's the statistics, or the graph, you can see that that's when students are most exposed to drugs, and a lot of that comes from school. So now going off of that and seeing how we identified the problem, we also have some solutions that we would like the board to consider. So one of those was the middle level presentations, and this could really just be volunteer basis. So I know at Franklin High School, we've given presentations to middle levels and even elementary school students that are a little older, 4th and 5th grade, and that really just gives them a positive influence and a positive example as to doing drugs is not cool, or really giving them information as to why not to do drugs at all. So I think middle level presentations and really having the support of the district to give middle level presentations, or even, like I said, 4th or 5th grade students, would be really beneficial.
So, resources to quit. I believe that like most of the students believe like the consequences. They know there's ISS, there's no out of school suspension, but they don't know the help they need afterwards. So we want to create a plan with emergency healthcare workers to have weekly updates on how their students' journey is going, and not just sending them back to school without any talking to them. So going to counseling before going back to school. And we also want to provide websites with information on how to stay away from drugs and coping mechanisms that can be better.
So our ideas behind this was basically taking a step into the real world. You can't get a felony on your record and not get it cleared by taking some correctional courses. So we do the same thing in our school systems. We believe that most students know that there is consequence to their actions, but they're not aware of the actual legal consequences to their actions. Which brings us to our idea for increased K-9 units. Right now we have 3 K-9 units in the district, but only 2 of them are active. EPIC has 10 high schools and 4 elementary schools, and 14 middle schools, all that have only 2 K-9 units right now. The use of drugs in our campuses is being brought in because of the accessibility and the fact that we can't stop the problem at the root. So we want to assign more K-9 units, we would like to ask for 5 total K-9 units for our whole school district. In addition, from the beginning, we would like to promote more middle school presentations, which is volunteer basis and completely free. We would like to add resources to quit, which can be found on various platforms, like Truth Incentives or Say What, which is also free. And we would like to add K-9 units, which would have a total of 5 K-9 units, which, according to our proposed play plan, each K-9 unit is paid $57,529 annually. So our budget asks for that. For 5 K-9 units would be $287,645 annually, which can be assisted with grants and prevention programs.
So in conclusion, EPISD students are being exposed to various harmful drugs in the school environment. EPISD needs to intercept these students at a young age through middle-level presentations, providing students with help to quit, not just consequences, and increasing the number of K-9 officers in our district. We personally see our peers get into drugs, and it's overall very sad for us, and we try to help them, but obviously it's still a problem for them.
While you all were in middle school, were you given some type of program, or was DARE in the system at the time?
When I was in middle school, we had a presentation from a police officer that I remember really vividly, because I'm the kind of student that if I know there's a consequence, I'm just not going to do it. But really, it just focused a lot on that, on the consequence portion. It was like, if you do this, you can get in trouble. If you do this, you're going to get ISS. And while that was effective for me, I know a lot of students that isn't effective for them. And something that I've really seen on my campus and just around youth is that they get told the consequences, but oftentimes by the time they're in high school, they're already addicted, or they're already in the drug drug substance use, and by then just being told a consequence that's really just not going to do it for them, and they're going to get in trouble, and then they're going to come out and they're going to start doing it all over again. So I think it's really essential, and something that we were trying to highlight in our presentation is that we need to offer them help. We need to actually tell them, what do you need, or what resources can we give you, and really just look at it from not the person is doing something bad, but like the drug is doing something bad to the person. So we really need to help the person itself.
And you're proposing 4th to 5th grade possibly, to start as early as that?
Yes, I've seen a lot of elementary schoolers now getting into it.
I love what you just said. One of the sad things about being in your late 30s is seeing people that I knew from middle school and high school that are dead now. And it's sad. And all of those people that I remember, they all started in middle school. So I love that idea of having you guys or other high school students go down and talk to them and say, this isn't a path you want to go down. I mean, I would love to do that too, except I think it would become, it would be more helpful coming from their peers. And I'm glad that you guys included alcohol in there. There's so many addictive substances and behaviors. I mean, there's porn, there's overeating, there's alcohol, there's tobacco. I say all the time, Ms. Saived is probably sick of me saying this, is I always say, what good does it do to educate somebody if they're just going to be destroyed in their minds or, bodies from addiction? It's a terrible problem, and I haven't found a good solution yet, but I think you guys are on the right track. So thank you.
I would have to echo a little bit of what Mr. Call shared. In my 31 years of experience in education, I think that peer pressure and the influence of peers is much greater than the influence sometimes of an adult, unfortunately. And fortunately, because when I think about the evolution of social media and that youth can influence youth on social media for so many different other reasons, I have a firm belief that youth can also become influencers via social media or via student-led coalitions where we're influencing education and understanding about the harms of substance abuse or removing the stigma of mental health, as we heard in a previous presentation. So a lot of the things that all of the groups have talked about today in terms of safety and security, wraparound services, student involvement, substance abuse, really working through mental health, I do believe student-led coalitions that are organized and that are developing systems to influence fellow peers in a positive way is something that, is sorely needed. So appreciate your advocacy and everyone else's as well. Any questions from the board?
For you, part of the presentation was the inclusion of the K-9 units. I know that we have the MOU with the city of El Paso where we use their officers from time to time. Does that include K-9 units? And if not, is that something we can look into to where we're not maybe paying the $50K for an annual salary, but they can do spot checks or things of that nature where we see high traffic areas of drugs?
Right. Well, I can certainly get a specific response. I'm not sure if, our MOU includes K-9, but I do know that recently we did apply for a grant that would increase the number of K-9 units. I'm not sure if it's all the way to 5, but I do know that we did, and we've worked through several of the safety and security grants to secure some of the things that were mentioned in the first presentation as well. So, but I can get more specific information about that.
Good presentation.
Thank you. Good job.
This concludes our presentations from our student council representatives and ambassadors for their campuses and district. We want to thank them again for their diligence. Thank you, student activities managers, for providing us the space and the opportunity for them to connect throughout the year. And I want to thank, of course, Mr. Monago and our community engagement department for allowing us to do everything that we need to support these presentations. Again, thank you for your time today.
Well, and I just want to thank students on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Please understand that this board and this superintendent is very much committed to student voice. And so, these are ongoing conversations that we need to have. So rather than the one and done, we culminate our year with good information from you all. I think the ongoing conversation is the most powerful, and really working together, campus administration, district administration, superintendent, and Board of Trustees. You hear me say alignment from the boardroom to the classroom is really, really important. And on days like today, we really understand the power of what that means, especially when you all share information about what you'd like us to consider. So thank you all so much, and please know that student voice is critical and important to improving the learning experiences for you, our customers, the students. Thank you all so much, and congratulations for doing such a great job.
Time is 12:10. This concludes our special board meeting.